Today we're going to talk about goal setting. Yes, goal setting, that thing where everybody says they're going to do something, make some sort of plan, and then 2 weeks later, it all goes to shit. This is the first goal setting plan that I've come across that is awesome and will be sustainable. It was not created by Ben Bergeron, but he took it on board and modified it a little more to suit him and his plans and his CrossFit athletes. But it doesn't particularly have to relate to CrossFit at all. It can be anything in your life, anything that you want or that you want to achieve. This plan is super effective in helping you get that drive to actually have a good hard crack at what you want to achieve. If you want to listen to Ben Bergeron talk about this, you can check out his podcast called Chasing Excellence. Episode 21, it's a really good listen. I've listened to it probably 3-4 times now, just because it's such a great listen to get your head around achieving what you want. Okay, so then rather than using SMART goals, the traditional way to do it, which is semi-effective, we're going to use another abbreviation called W.H.O.P.I.E. So this is how it works. So just like SMART goals, we have a set of letters that will guide our plan and get us in the best possible position to achieve our goal. The first section, WH, is called wishing and hoping. So what is it that you want? It can be a ton of different things. It can be fat loss, running a marathon. It can be not feeling so damn tired all the time. It can be spending more time with your family or your child, finding consistency in your training or getting your motivation back. Any of those you can work for. For an example, let's just start with the most common one. We'll start with weight loss or fat loss. What we want to do is add a bit of an emotional attachment to this. So it's not just fat loss. I want you to think about why. What do you want? So often people will just touch the surface on, I just want to lose some weight, and that's about as far as it goes. When deep down, there's a lot more to it. Most of the time, it's not just fat loss. It's things like be able to play with my kids, not be so tired all the time, wear a bikini. Or it can be a little more full on to the stage of, feel good about myself. I'm embarrassed about the way that I look and who I am, and I need it to change. So when you talk about what you actually want and what you wish for, don't just dabble at the surface. Think deeply about what it is that you want to achieve. Create that bit of an emotional attachment. The next stage to make a far bigger attachment is to talk about the outcome. What actually happens when you achieve that goal? So often we say, I want to get fat loss. Think about how good it's actually going to feel. I'm going to feel probably pretty fucking ecstatic. I'm going to feel like I've got my life back. Probably one that everybody wants in life is a bit of happiness. When I achieve what this happens, this is how I'm going to feel. Currently, I'm obviously not feeling that. So if I do this is how I'm going to feel. Next stage, obstacles. What's standing in my way of getting there? We very often forget this bit or get to this roadblock and ignore it. And that's more commonly what sends us back to the start again. What are the obstacles in your way? More commonly than anything, time, work, laziness. If you want to achieve these things and get this feeling, you need to overcome these obstacles or manage those obstacles. When it comes to achieving the actual goal you set, you need to throw full effort into that goal. So if you have obstacles in their way and they're holding you back, you are not going to achieve that goal. So let's say, for example, it's time, okay? All of us are busy. You need to figure out how you can manage that time so you can achieve what you need to achieve. Sometimes these obstacles can be extreme as making a huge change. So if you hate your job and your job is making you miserable, and that's the reason that you're eating too much junk food and it's causing you to be overweight, maybe the job is what you need to change. If you want it so badly, that's something you need to take into consideration. It's your life. What's going to be more important? If you think you can overcome this obstacle without having to do something like that, you need to work a way of managing it. If you don't manage it, again, it's not going to happen. Next, you need to make a plan. Again, this is a bit where people are going to procrastinate on. You need to make some sort of plan. This is where you can sort of use SMART goals to get this sorted. They need to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, in a time frame. All those sorts of things need to come into that plan. So if it's fat loss and that's the plan, we need to exercise and probably fix up our diet. We might need to break it up into a period of time. So we might have our 6-month time and we're going to break it up into fortnightly blocks. When it comes to your diet, you might want to start with just starting to clean up your eating just slightly by cutting out some junk food, eating slightly smaller portions, and backing off the amount of alcohol you consume. That might be your first month. In your second month, you might start to track your calories and track your protein a little bit and work on increasing your protein and sticking to a bit of a calorie limit. As you learn and understand this, you might plan in the 3rd month to pick smarter options or see a nutritionist to really tweak it and tidy it up for yourself. By the end of that 6-month block, you're going to have achieved that goal or have really made some really steady progress towards what you want to achieve. The next one is I, and it stands for more of a saying. It's about mindset, and it's about telling yourself or convincing yourself why you're doing this and what kind of person you are in order to achieve what you want. So it stands for I'm the kind of person who. So when it comes to the end of a long work day, you're pretty buggered, but it's Wednesday and that's the night that you scheduled to go to training. When you get to that point and saying, oh, I'm buggered, I'm just going to go home, you need to say to yourself, I'm the kind of person that goes to training to get the result because I made the plan, because I need to overcome these obstacles that I put in front of myself to get this outcome of feeling amazing about the fact that I lost weight. I'm the kind of person that goes and does that. Even if you don't believe it in the beginning, it doesn't matter. The more and more you tell yourself to get up and do it, because that's the kind of person that you are, the more you're going to believe it and the more chance you have of keeping on track. The last one is execution. So all of this that's happening above looks great on paper, it's great to lay it out, but if you don't execute it, all of it is just words. And this is where a lot of people get stumped as well. You can write it down, you can get yourself pumped up, you can get yourself excited, but if you don't take drastic action to actually execute the plan, all of this won't matter. So when you look at this and you have your plan set out, go back through the list of what you're doing and why you're doing it, how good it's gonna feel when you achieve it. Then get to work. Over the last couple of weeks, I've chatted to a few people about these goals because they come to me feeling quite demotivated. Now, commonly when people say they're demotivated, they don't feel like training, and we maybe look towards training as to being the problem and trying to find a way to get you up about and excited for training because training's hard work. What we actually found is it was other things in these people's lives that were making it hard for them to get to training. They knew they liked training, they knew it was fun, they knew it made them better, but being so exhausted or burnt out in the other areas of their life caused them to not show up to CrossFit. Now, all you guys that do CrossFit because you like it. If you didn't like CrossFit, you certainly wouldn't do it. So more often than not, when you're feeling demotivated, you might need to have a look at what else it is going on in your life that might be causing you to not want to come to training. So I'm going to use one of these recent chats I've had with a member as a bit of an example. This person was feeling demotivated, but in the past they've trained fantastically, they've been consistent, they've always enjoyed their training. They were demotivated, they were tired, they had foggy brain, all those sorts of things. What they wanted was not so much, they knew how to do the training. They wanted to feel less foggy, have more energy, and to feel less stressed about some of the things going on in their life. Now, once we figured out what this person wished and hoped for, we worked out what the outcome was going to be, what was going to happen, how were they going to feel when they got rid of the foggy brain, got more energy back, and felt less stressed about everything. The main word that came out of it was just happiness. They knew that they were going to feel so much more happier if they could think clearly and have energy for the day and be excited for things. So more than anything, happiness. I couldn't think of a more exciting outcome. So when we got to obstacles, this is where the magic kind of happened. We started to figure out what was actually getting in this person's way. For a long time, they'd gotten past these two, but they never could get to this point and work out what to do next. So we figured out that work was the obstacle. This person was managing other people at their work, and the people that they were managing were not the best staff. They were difficult to work with, they were lazy, they wouldn't show up, they were doing all those sorts of things that was creating a stress on their life, making them tired and exhausted, and therefore not feeling motivated to come to CrossFit. All those things is what was causing this problem. So then we managed to have a bit more of a chat about what was going on here in their work life. And we found that this person felt like maybe they weren't being hard enough on their staff or letting them get away with more than they should have because they didn't want to upset them, or was more worried about losing their friendship rather than treating them like a staff and being their boss. What we come to the conclusion was that in order to get this happiness, get rid of the foggy brain, get their energy back, they needed to really toughen up their role as a boss to these people, whether that was to educate them further, discipline them, or even fire them. As scary as that was for this person, they now realize that that's what they have to do in order to get their happiness. They were sacrificing their own happiness for the sake of these lazy people's jobs. So we made a bit of a plan, and it went along the lines of figuring out what was going to be said, whether it was in terms of educating these staff better, and then if they were still non-responsive to the way that this person wanted them to work, disciplining them, and then if they were still not responsive into what that person wanted them to do, moving them on. So yeah, it sounded pretty harsh, but it worked. We moved on to the I'm the kind of person who. So this person felt that they maybe were letting themselves get pushed around by these staff members. So when it came to that situation, when they were lazy, or when they weren't showing up, or when they were being disrespectful, they told themselves, I'm the kind of person that stands up to my staff. I'm the kind of person that educates my staff on how I want them to work. I'm the kind of person that when my staff have done the wrong thing and I need to move them on or discipline them, I'm going to do it because they're my obstacle for my outcome. Then lastly, we got to executing. So I checked in with them for the next couple of weeks and things got rolling in the right direction. This person's now training plenty, feeling a lot better. Things have changed in their workplace as well because of the execution to their work. This was a mind-blowing goals chat and we were both super stoked with mapping it out and the outcome that started to happen in a short 3-4 weeks. Last one, I'm going to talk about my challenge and my goal to get Tyson to Comic-Con. So I did this for myself a couple of months ago to get myself set up and prepared and ready for this because I knew it was going to be a huge challenge. My wishing and hoping was get Tyson to Comic-Con. The outcome was it's going to change his life. It was going to be the most amazing thing for him probably in his life to send him overseas and go on a trip of a lifetime. The outcome mainly for me was to see the joy and the happiness that Tyson will get from going on this trip of a lifetime to Comic-Con in the States. So obviously for myself, the outcome for me was that fulfillment and that joy and that happiness for Tice. And given the history we've had over the last 6 or 7 years training together, that outcome was all I needed to get emotionally attached to my goal. When it comes to obstacles, time, of course, running an affiliate, having a 4-year-old, all those sorts of things would be the biggest thing. So I worked on that straight away. I knew I could make time and I've been making it work. In my plan, I knew I was going to be getting up early to swim, to run, all sorts of things. I had to make sure that my diet was on track, that I was eating more as the volume of training increased. So what I did was make sure that I was tracking calories and protein just for the first couple of weeks. Once I'd done it for a couple of weeks, I feel pretty on top of it, but every now and then I'll check in just to see how it's going. The plan was a little more elaborate than that, but they were the two main things to support my obstacles, time and diet. The motivation was there because I know what I want and I'm totally emotionally attached to what we want to get. This has been super effective, more effective than I thought. There's been mornings when I get up early and not want to go to the pool and not want to swim, but I tell myself, I'm the kind of person who gets up and swims because I want Tyson to go to goddamn Comic-Con. Or when I'm on my first K of swimming and I know I've got 2 more Ks to go and I'm already stuffed, while I'm swimming, I'm telling myself, I'm the kind of person that does this because I want to see that joy on his face when I achieve this challenge for him. Lastly, execution. Once again, you need to make drastic attempts at executing your plan. If you don't take full action to achieve this goal, it's not going to happen. So I've gone hard at it, and you guys have seen me go hard at it when it comes to training, planning, getting other people on board, seeking to get donations. I've purposely made myself take drastic action in that direction to keep this whole thing on track. And when I feel like I'm losing track, I'll check back over this plan, see where it rolls. That's how you goal set. It is a goddamn awesome plan. Do it yourself. Write out W.H.O.P.I.E, write out the words, map something out. If you find it difficult, come to us, chat to us, type to us online, and we can help you with this goal. There is no better goal setting plan I've found ever than this one. Do it.